don't we jump right into it? So,
Yeah.
What's up, Halifax? Chris Crowell here with DJ Blitz on the Halifax Network. Thanks so much for coming out. Been looking forward to it.
Thank you for having me. I'm a little tired from last night, but I've been really excited to hop on with you. So
yeah, man. Yeah, it's cool. The coolest part for me about this whole social media thing is like, making these connections out of nowhere. Like, one day I'm doing my thing and, get a follow from this DJ and I'm like, oh, he's doing some pretty cool stuff and like obviously doing more content and content creation and getting my message and my kind of brand out there. It's been kind of a big eye opener for me. So it's cool when you kind of make those little connections in that community. So I felt like, I know you're new to the area and we're very much about, Halifax and promoting Halifax, and you've been doing a great job of like going around and seeing some different little like nooks and crannies of like, as you should being new, like, and kind of experiencing that. And it's been like a cool little journey to follow you around. And I feel like it would have been a cool episode to get you here. So thanks for coming out.
I appreciate it very much. And I don't know when that new guy card gets played out, but get to ride it as long as I can.
Yeah. Well, on that point, like I say new, like, I mean, you're new to me, definitely to social media. How long have you been here? Like, I don't even know who DJ Blitz is. Like,
yeah, so it's coming up on a year now. I can't believe it's been that long, but wow. September is when I moved down and living in Lower Sackville right now. And it's been an absolute wild ride. Like it feels like almost I'm on a work placement in a sense, because it doesn't feel like home yet. Mostly because I was in Winnipeg for 28 years and here a year, so obviously you're gonna be more familiar with the previous location. But it's just the drives and all the. The commuting is starting to feel very, very familiar. Like honestly, it started out I knew. Lower Sackville, downtown, Bears Lake. It was like this triangle or a rectangle. I don't know what it was, but someone's like, like there's Bridgewater. You can go down to, Amherst. Or, like there's so many other places, and I realized like there's so many places that I haven't actually experienced. So my family's coming down in September, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll show you guys around. But I haven't done anything yet.
That's funny, man.
So they'll be showing me around, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's a great excuse to like go out and see some more stuff. Like I grew up down, like way down, like past Bridgewater, like past Liverpool, like down Yarmouth County.
Okay.
So I've never, I didn't grow up right here in like HRM, Halifax County. Like I grew up down the South Shore, like very rural. Dad was a lobster fisherman, electrician, so grew up very blue collar, but they sold me the dream. Grandfather and dad, both fishermen. Grandpa's a carpenter, and he sold me the dream. You need to get a job with a pension and benefits and a salary, and went to university in Halifax and kind of been here since.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like honestly, it's a city where. It's a hub that people come to because of the opportunity, biggest, one of the biggest universities in Canada being Dal. And, that's what I found is it's just like, I needed to elevate my career as a DJ. And, it was a great little portfolio I had going on in Winnipeg with the Winnipeg Jets, the Bombers and all that. But it reaches a point where you can almost plateau in your hometown. And, I kind of got here and I had my doubts about whether I could actually advance in the DJ scene because it seemed to be pretty locked down. It's like, well, we got our guys, Steve Johnson's been here for 10 years. Right, yeah. I was like, oh, great.
Yeah.
But timing was everything, and just so happened to be able to land that first gig at the Pint. And then from there, I think things kind of just...
Yeah, man.
Picked up.
The old Pint. I used to remember when it was the Argyle. It used to be my favorite. Still is. I just don't go downtown that much anymore because I'm married and downtown's problematic. So I kind of stay away from it. Well, that's cool, man. Can you tell me a little bit about you mentioned you're from Winnipeg. You did some time, working with the Jets and the Bombers. Kind of tell me a little bit about that. When did you kind of feel like it was time to make a move?
So I started when I was 19 as a DJ. It was actually my brother who got me into it. He was a music producer at the time, and he said, "You know what? I think you'd enjoy being a DJ." Because I think he had shown kind of the production side of music, and I'm more of an instant gratification guy. I can't work 8 hours on a bass kick and a kick drum. Like, I mean,
You need some feedback.
Yeah, so he invested $500. He bought me a DJ controller, and he's like, "You can pay me back in installments." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure I'll get right on that." And and then I was about to return the DJ controller because I was like, "This is painful to learn." And I said to my dad and brother, I'm like, "No, I'm returning this. Thanks for the opportunity, but no, I'm done." And my dad's like, "You know what? I think you might want to just stick it out a little bit more." So I just kind of locked myself in the basement for a couple summers and just very slowly started to learn the craft, learn the skill. And then from there, I was at a Halloween party, and I noticed that the DJ was kind of tanking his set, like not really doing that great of a job. And I was absolutely like plastered at the time. This is when I was like, really young. So
yeah, man.
I went up and I shook the hand of one of the other DJs, and he goes, "Yeah, you know what? This guy, he's not doing too well. Do you want to hop on?" Because I told him I was a DJ. This guy lets me hop on at a packed Halloween party. I did a couple mixes, and he goes, "Well, that was great. The owner of this DJ company, this is Sensational Sound. He's coming down tonight. Do you wanna meet him? We have a contract with Whiskey Dicks." And I was just telling him like a second ago that Whiskey Dicks, this is a crazy good bar in Winnipeg, they have a contract with. So I was like, "Oh, that'd be great." And then calls me the next morning, this boss of this company, and says, "Hey, do you want to work, at Fox and Fiddle downtown, which is a lounge next to Whiskey Dicks?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's easy." And then from there, it was just kind of next gig, connecting with the right promoters, opening for Lil Jon, and then so
that's cool.
Yeah, and then yeah. His whole career based off 2 words.
Right.
Yeah, and okay.
Right.
But then it kind of just, it was definitely like a slow burn, like Lil Jon, and then did the Rihanna VIP party there in 2016, and then Winnipeg Jets, Bombers, and then I kind of just reached that point, after like a certain amount of club gigs where I'm like, okay, I got one shot to kind of expand this thing, expand the name, and I think now is the time. And it's sometimes in life when you get, it's like the stars align. I had just gotten out of a 2.5-year relationship. I had already declined a job offer in Kelowna to do a radio show in Kelowna.
Okay.
And I said, and after this breakup, I was like, I am never going to turn down another opportunity for a relationship or any sort of love. So made the move out here, and oh my goodness, it's been wild.
That's awesome, man. That's a great story. I'm a little curious, like, if I can ask, you were presented with the opportunity to kind of learn the DJing craft.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse the nomenclature. I'm not sure if there's some specific terms I should be using, but you kind of, you're like, nope, not doing it. Kind of, can you tell us a little bit about like kind of what drew you back in? What kind of made you, aside from your father being like, "Hey man, like maybe like, give it a little bit more time." Like,
yeah.
What made you, yeah, you're right, I'm going to give it more time, and really like what made you stick with it, I guess?
So I think for me, all my life, I've realized that nothing comes easy.
You're right.
Like if you're not in a state of discomfort and unfamiliarity, you're not getting, you don't, honestly, like, you don't deserve to get that, reach the top. And it was just kind of like, okay, I know this is gonna benefit me to just put in, the hours and hours to learn this, just like anyone learns any craft. How are you supposed to get good at juggling if you pop in once a week and do a couple, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense in that regard, and it shouldn't. So, I just knew, okay, I'll get, there eventually. I have a vision, and let's go small steps. And so I always tell people small steps. first thing was just like, let's just learn this thing and get a show. So I DJ'd a show for $20. I remember him handing me a $20 bill.
20 sheet, bro.
Oh yeah, it was a nice 20
right,
too.
Crisp.
But and then some people that event didn't get paid anything. So I'm like, wow, I'm $20 up here, and then
and ahead of the rest.
Yeah, yeah, $20 up, and then people are saying like, well, you know, like eventually you can make, you know, 200, 300, 2,000, whatever. So yeah, it was just honestly like seeing the DJs mostly at the club. As soon as I got to that club and I saw the DJ on the stage, at first I thought he was this, like, you know, big celebrity, because there's 1,000 people and then this one person up top.
Right.
I didn't really understand. And then I was kind of asking some people, oh, so everyone knows this guy? It's like, no, nobody knows him. So I thought, oh, wouldn't that be cool if that guy on stage people did actually know? So that's where that's where the social media element came in, where I'm like, how about I do everything social media wise, then come into the club, and then maybe that could create more engagement with the crowd, more attendance, that kind of thing. So that's kind of how the two paths, you know, connected. Yeah.
That's cool, man. And like, so were you doing any social media? Like, were you into it at all? Like, for me, like, I wasn't, like, you know, if we went and did like a hike with the dogs, like me and my wife, like, yeah, we'd take a picture with the dogs and like, you know, we'd post that or whatever. And like, it was like, we went for a hike. Like, you know, that's what we did. But like, I was never like, just like getting up to do my morning walk and like, you know, here's breakfast and like, you know, kind of vlogging, I guess would be kind of a way to put it. Like, I was never into it. So when I kind of dove in, it was kind of the same for the same reasons. It's like, well, I just kind of got out of not a relationship, but like, I guess in a sense, like a job that I've been in for 8.5 years. And I got into real estate and it was like, well, I'm not happy with where I'm at performance wise. And it's like you said, it's like, you can't just like change the name in your Facebook profile to like realtor and then like all the business is going to come. Like you got to do some work. You can't expect immediate gratification. So I kind of went all in, with the video content, because like when I was coming up and we bought this house, like I wanted to ask all these questions, but I was kind of intimidated to ask because I didn't want to ask or look stupid in front of the professional. So I just kept it to myself. So I was like, well, if I could build some content around what I used to want to ask but was scared to ask, and I know other people are because I work with, you know, I can just tell. So, and I was like, you know, here's where, you know, I can maybe provide some more value before people even want to like even pick up the phone, text me, call me, email me. And even like they have like it's almost like a pre-interview to like me getting hired.
Yeah.
Because they can kind of come in and kind of get a feel for me. So anyway, was it kind of easy for you? Like you seem pretty like comfortable in front of the camera, obviously DJing, you're in front of crowds. Like how did you decide what you wanted to do with the content to kind of promote yourself and I mean right now Halifax, you're doing a good job of it. So
yeah, honestly, like it started with ticket giveaways. So I remember Justin Bieber came to town, I think it was 2014, and he was performing and I bought a couple tickets and I just kind of asked my brother one night, and honestly, like, you know, you'll hear my brother come up here and then he is like my biggest influence. Like he has been with me every step of the way, and he's the reason I got into this. But I said, hey, what if I were to give away these Justin Bieber tickets? He's like, you don't want to go to the show? I was like, well, I do, but like, I think, you know, there's some demand for these. You know, I think, what if I were to get people to have to follow me on social media for a chance to win those tickets? He's like, well, try it. So I put up like a poster, you know, with instructions, and this giveaway went bananas. I think it was probably like 4,000 followers I got from this giveaway.
Wow.
And that's when it was like a light bulb went off. And I went on a rampage of giveaways. I was buying every single concert that came to town. Red Hot Chili Pepper giveaway, you know, Ed Sheeran giveaway. And the Ed Sheeran giveaway, hands down, was the most, like, so his show sold out, I think it was like in they said it was like in 0.5 seconds. Like it didn't even make sense mathematically.
Wow.
Like probably like all the bots or whatever.
Oh yeah, man. I was in the shoe game for a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
All the bots and stuff. Foot Locker's just losing their minds.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, so like I had Ed Sheeran tickets, and my buddies were saying like this is gonna be your, the game changer for you.
Goose.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. I put that up, and it was same thing, 4,000. So I was like, okay. At what point now can I get someone else to buy these tickets? Because I'm sick of buying tickets.
Right.
They're like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
I guess it's like part of this zone where they triple the cost of the ticket price. Like tickets for Ed Sheeran are probably around $50 at that time, but I paid $300 because it's a zone where they're resellers, right?
Right.
So
like Ticket Valet or whatever those sites. Yeah.
Which I don't agree with. I think they should be like book cost.
Right.
But yeah, it was after those giveaways, and I decided to start those giveaway videos with "What's up, Winnipeg?" So
sorry, I stole your thing.
Yeah.
That was on purpose.
Yeah. But that's kind of, that was this thing where, and then I noticed people kind of, just stopping me in the streets, like taking out their snap saying, "Can you do the thing?" And I was like, "Oh, so you saw the video?" They're like, "Yeah, we've seen the video." And so in Winnipeg, that was this thing where it's just this wind up, "What's up?" So tried to bring that to Halifax.
Hey.
With what's happening Halifax, kind of dropped the ball because I'm like, it's a longer version, doesn't really have. So then I'm like, maybe that way that I start videos with, say, okay, right? Maybe. So that's kind of become more of a thing.
I noticed there was two things. I didn't know which one to lead with. So
Yeah.
I just went with the first one.
But like honestly, like people come up and they go, "Can you do the what's up Halifax?" I'm like, "Oh, it's what's happening," but I can't change what people's
perception. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so they do what's up Halifax. Maybe it'll just be what's up Halifax.
Yeah. Hey man, well, I mean, it resonated enough with me that I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
To see your reaction.
Just something.
It's your thing, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. People like to do it together in groups and everything. And then they incorporate in different elements
different
too.
reels, group parties.
Yeah,
why not? I mean, you are kind of like the party guy, right? You're the DJ. You're kind of the center of the event. So, man, that's cool. So what about? I have to ask. Obviously, it's pretty fresh. Like Bill Burr. Like obviously, I was sitting out. I was like, I was to the right. I was still in the general admissions, but we got there early enough. We were like, like the VIP corner right before you get down to like the main seating, table seating. We were kind of just like right there. And anyway, I was like, you were kind of still quite a ways away, but I was like, is that DJ Blitz?
Yeah.
And then finally they're like, "Oh yeah, DJ Blitz doing a great job." And I was like, "Oh yeah, man, I should follow up." I think we were supposed to meet up, and I never followed up with him. So I was like, after the show, shot you a message. But how was that? Like, you went from, Winnipeg, you're doing the Jets, the Bombers, you're down here, you're not sure if you're gonna get it going. Your land at the Pint happens to be my old favorite bar, still pretty favorite. The patio is awesome. And then next thing you're DJing for Bill Burr. Like, would you attribute this to your social media presence? Like, how did Bill Burr call you up? Hey, Blitz, what's up? Right?
So this is actually spearheaded by Trickstar Entertainment in Nashville, and they got in touch with me, and they had actually had a marketing company to promote the event, and that company, HQ Inc., they reached out to me to promote the event. And I'm like, yeah, I got you. I got you. I can toss up a TikTok, whatever. And to me, I'm like, okay, this is an event that I wanted to be a part of to DJ. Is there any way I could DJ at the event? They said they forwarded my message to the head honcho.
Bill.
And no, not Bill. Brennan. And the very next day they said, "Hey, we got 3 slots: Jerry Seinfeld, Jesselnick, and Bill Burr. Do you want to DJ?" I'm like, okay, this seems too easy. Like, there's always a catch, but for this one, there's no catch. Literally, like,
no catch.
10,000 people out there. You bring your stuff, plug and play, and it was funny because parking on that weekend was absolutely absurd. There was actually so I parked in the parking lot by the food trucks. I don't know if you remember the food truck area.
Yep.
So the security guard's like, yeah, you can park here. And, yeah, I'm the DJ. Okay. So 15 minutes before showtime, the stage manager comes up to me and she's like, yeah, did you happen to park in that parking lot by the food trucks? I'm like, yeah, I did. She's like, okay, we're going to need you to move your car. This is 15 minutes before start time. This is a hard start, 5:30. I'm like, okay. So I sprint over to the car, and we had, I guess, arranged for me to park. I don't know. I honestly, to this day, I don't even know how it would work, but I would have had to drive through that porta potty section with the car, which still doesn't make any sense to me, but like drive through the porta potties and park right beside the stage on stage right. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to pull around. She talked to the security guard, and he'll let it happen. So I loop around, and it's like, oh, God, street closed.
Oh, no.
And right as I see this, after I looped around, there's a cop behind me.
No.
So I wasn't about to try, because then it's going to be a whole thing. I got to tell the cop I'm DJing.
Yeah. Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, oh, okay, Mr.
For
DJ.
Bill Burr?
Yeah.
Right,
right. So we, I'm driving down, and meanwhile, there's a Wanderers game going on. There's no free parking.
Right.
And I'm such a cheapskate that I didn't want to park in the parkade for $2 every half hour.
Fair.
So I get a call from the head guy that I work for at True North, and he's like, "What's your ETA? You start in 5 minutes." I'm like, "Bro, I don't know. I'm trying to find a spot." He's like, "Dump it." Dump it. I'm like, "What do you mean dump it?" He's like, "Dump the car. Head back, I'll take the keys and I'll move it." So I parked what I thought was a regular parking spot, and it was a tow-away zone, but I guess in Halifax sometimes tow-away zones on the weekends don't apply, that kind of thing.
Yeah, who knows? We got all kinds of weird rules.
Yeah, so like I was like, I'm trying to read the sign. Literally, I'm on in 4 minutes. I have never sprinted that fast. I get back to the stage. I get back at 5:29. And I'm just drenched, and I start playing, and they're like, "Oh, you made it back." I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm just like, So what a way to start. And then
You're already pumping, like.
Oh yeah, like the blood's pumping. I'm out of breath, and then she hands me a script saying like, "Yeah, can you read this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So that was like. Absolutely. Like, I don't think I've ever been that stressed during that drive. And it's like, there's nothing worse. Like, I get back to that part. So the loop brought me back to that parking lot with the food trucks. And I was like, yeah, I'm the DJ for the event. He's like, oh, well, who told you could park by the stage? What's her name? I was like, I didn't even get her name. I didn't even get her name.
You couldn't catch a bone. Yeah.
No, but it ended up working out. And, that day I knew I had done Jerry Seinfeld on the Friday, so I knew attendance was going to be quite similar, if not more than Jerry Seinfeld. And I knew, okay, so I had to get a picture. Let's get some decent footage. As of like the first couple days before Bill Burr, I hadn't really gotten anything. So it's like 5 minutes left before the MC is coming on. Over 10,000 people out in that field. And I turn and I see the photographer on stage just around that time. I'm like, okay, perfect. She can grab the shot with her nice DSLR camera.
Yeah.
And then I see her kind of turn back around to go down the stairs, and I'm like, oh, please don't go down the stairs. Please don't go. She turns back. I'm like, oh, hey. And then I wave her over, and we get the shot that I want. And it's, to this day, it's like the best picture I've ever gotten. Like
Is that the one from Bill Burr?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you did is that the one where
it was like I was doing the peace sign, and
she
then
was shooting from the back.
From behind.
Yeah. I was wondering if that was the one.
Yeah.
Did you get to hang out with any of them?
So Jerry Seinfeld was more in and out.
Yeah, he's not messing around with people.
No, I think just like I've heard that he is just an in and out kind of guy. Like he doesn't really like mingling or anything like that. So that didn't really surprise me. Anthony Jeselnik was absolutely chill. Like I was backstage and I saw him just kind of pop out of his trailer and go into Zarna Garg's trailer. And I'm like, holy smokes. That's Anthony Jeselnik. That's the guy. And it's like, of course you try when you're like around these celebrities, like you try to like maintain your composure to not look like an absolute moron.
Fanboy, yeah.
So of course,
oh my god.
Yeah. So it's like I head over there, and of course one of the first things I say is like, "Oh, me and my family love you. You know, we love this joke." And you know, I think there was one of the people from Trickstar right beside me, kind of rolling it out his eyes, like, "Oh God, like,
come on, Blitz, get together."
But we had a nice little chat. Like we just obviously, like, he's a comedian, he wants to talk comedy, so I just dove right into you know who have you met, who have you toured with, West Coast versus East Coast. You notice a difference, and after we talked for like 20 minutes. And then that was that. And then the next day, Bill Burr, I'm backstage. I look over and I just see him smoking a cigar in the tent, just in the cap chair. I'm like, oh, no way. And then after the show, I guess it was a few minutes before the end of his set, Trickstar comes up and says, hey, Bill Burr's coming into the tent after if you're interested. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then so I go up to Bill. And I shake his hand. I'm like, man, like, it was a pleasure opening for you. Great set tonight. When you coming to Winnipeg next? Because I was just, and he's just like, oh, I haven't been there in a minute. And then he goes, you guys got some good meat pies over there. And then it was just, because I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what meat. I had lived in Winnipeg 28 years. I've never heard anyone mention anything about a meat pie.
Like a minced meat pie?
I don't even know what he's talking about.
Oh, you don't know? Okay.
So it's like
my nanny used to make minced meat pie.
Oh yeah,
maybe that's what he means.
Maybe, but I don't even know. The thing is, I don't even know where he'd get a meat pie from. Like there's there's nobody in Winnipeg who raves about like a spot
Nobody's
on Portage.
Yeah.
No, like it. So I'm like,
we got like humble pie down in Dartmouth.
I've had those humble. So I thought maybe he's talking about that. And as I'm processing this, I'm just saying nothing. So it's literally picture Bill Burr going like, oh yeah, you guys got some good meat pies. And me just going like this.
You're right. You're trying to think about it.
And so he just like kind of just walked away. So I'm like,
sorry.
I'm like, oh no. I couldn't even, because when you don't know what they're talking about, like I think I went like, yeah. And then I was going to get like a selfie with them too. I was going to try to get him into TikTok, but I was processing the meat pies that I just missed.
He threw you off. Damn it, Bill.
But I don't know. I'll have to maybe follow up with some people in Winnipeg or something. Like, did we recently get meat? But the humble pies that you mentioned, I tried the buffalo chicken one, the steak and cheese, and those are like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I don't know how many calories we're talking in those.
I feel like you're not really counting them if you're eating those things, right? Yeah. They're just out for feel good, treat yourself.
Yeah, that's the worst. You're at a restaurant. It's like they're those people who just like, well, the fries are 300 and then the steak. Like, it's like you're out at a restaurant. Like, you're not getting under 1,000.
Probably not. Yeah. Your meal, a drink, or if you're not drinking, a pop or a whatever, you're just do better tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's crazy, man. Yeah, Bill Burr, me and my wife are huge comedy fans, and my wife is like the biggest Seinfeld fan, and so is her father. I couldn't go to Seinfeld, but we had 2 tickets because we had a wedding. Some dates changed on us, so I sent her. I was in it, so she wasn't, so I sent her with her father, and they just like loved it. They said Jerry was like, yeah, they're all these comedians. They don't like cell phones. He's like, well, go ahead, take it out, take a picture. He's like, I don't care. He's like, I'm gonna get enjoyment out of people being annoyed about you annoying them.
Yeah,
that you were to the show and they weren't, and that gives me pleasure. So go ahead, do it. I would love to. That's
such a Jerry thing.
Yeah, I know, man. That's why I like him. He's just so, I don't know, like maybe if he's like that in real life or if it's just a show, but it's just I don't know, he's just like miserable almost. Like, for lack of better. He's just like, I love it.
Well, and it's that one joke that he did about like Netflix. And he's like, yeah, everyone just, it's always like 3 a.m. Everyone's half asleep. You want to put on a show? Half asleep. Right. Like man, he really, he's definitely one of the most relatable comedians. And I think
that's what it is.
Yeah. Like he was pushing limits a bit with the controversial jokes, but at the same time, I think that's to show, hey, he's not just the, what's the deal with airline peanuts? And like that does not work anymore.
No.
I don't know why that is, but we just became more as a society. We want to hear more, little bit edgier.
Yeah.
But then we pushed it too much with that whole cancel culture era.
Yeah. We went a little far.
Yeah. And it's just like
renaming all the stuff.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Bill Burr talked about it.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't know, the whole what the Christmas song from the 50s.
Yeah, what was that?
Baby, It's Cold Outside.
Yeah.
That kind of went away really quickly.
Well,
but
then it's like Baby, It's Cold Outside, and then top of the charts is WAP.
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of here, guys! What are you talking about?
Well, and I remember that when that whole Baby, It's Cold Outside cancel thing came out, I was in radio in Winnipeg, working for Virgin Radio Winnipeg, and I heard, yeah, we're pulling it from the catalog. I was like, I didn't even know it was in the catalog. I was like,
we better get that out of there. That's not safe for anybody.
I'm like, I didn't know it was getting regular spins anyhow.
Right.
But
holy crap!
But that I think was definitely one of the moments where people realized, okay, where are we going with this, guys?
Yeah,
what are we doing here? Stuff happened in the 50s that to them was a norm. We're living in the moment right now in 2023, and stuff's going on right now that is gonna be laughed at 50 years from now. Or I can't believe. I honestly think it might be something like solitary confinement, where we're putting people in a cell for 24 hours, nothing, no stimulation. I think that could be one. I think I don't know. I was having a conversation about this with someone, but what is the current cancel culture thing that's going to be absolutely bananas 50 years? I can't believe they blank.
Right. Who knows? There's going to be a few.
Yeah, and it's but we're living it.
I know.
Right? And it's man, so I think now we're trying to get ahead of the cancellation stuff and see if we can get back to it. We're not going to be a perfect society, but
yeah, man, I think the last few years where everybody's just stuck doing nothing, and they had a lot of time to think about not productive things.
Yeah, 100% it was COVID related. Yeah. Where just I even remember going online and people just making videos about just stuff that just doesn't matter. We're just all bored. We're just trying to get through the day.
Get through to the next day, man. It's crazy, but yeah, man, the cancel culture stuff's crazy. I mean, they tried to cancel Joe Rogan. They're all kinds of weird stuff going on lately. It's tough to kind of meander through.
And honestly, I think it is all up to the corporations. So I had a thought about the Joe Rogan thing, that if the UFC had released him from that role as broadcaster, I think it might have been a little bit of the end of Joe Rogan, because that is kind of his identity.
Definitely one of them for sure.
And then who knows if let's just say UFC and Spotify said, okay, Joe, we're parting ways. That becomes a cancellation, because there's nothing left for him to do.
Yeah, and it's if they cut him, is YouTube welcoming him back? Probably not.
Yeah. So now it's okay, the UFC and Spotify, they said, no, this is our guy. Granted, he's a cash cow, but they said, we all make mistakes. Where's your perfect life? And this is stuff, I think it happened, a while, a long time ago. And I remember talking with my brother about it, but it was a lot of that stuff hadn't actually happened recently. So I'm not sure if he had apologized a while back for it, or if he ever apologized. And then, but it seems like he's kind of grown from that and evolved. So that's where it's I think we're moving towards a society where it's like, can we grow from our mistakes, learn from our mistakes kind of thing. And I think that's a great society to live in. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely got to get out of the, getting stuck living in that rear view mirror. Like,
yeah.
I think you're right. I think we were kind of really jammed in there for a while. And now, at least from my perspective, and I mean, it's been a big learning. I know you kind of, big change. You moved here, relationship change. And I mean, my personal relationship, like my marriage and stuff, is great. Work's going good. I've had to reorganize some stuff in my life too. And it's kind of like those relationships and stuff where you're like, you value them, but you're always kind of looking back. You're always like, but I'm in these situations because of these people, and I don't really want to be, but you feel like you got to be for them. But then it's like, it's not doing you any good. And every time you do it, it just never ends up good. So you kind of, sometimes you have to make change and it's just like it doesn't feel good at the time, but it's for the best. And I think that's kind of, personally for me, that's what's been going on. Obviously starting into real estate, like I did 8.5 years with a company, and just before COVID, or not before, during COVID, I think they kind of used it as an excuse, kind of as a restructure. And I had to kind of reinvent myself. And, you do a job for almost 9 years, and, you kind of really strongly identify with like what you do, your career, your circles of friends and stuff. And it was like a big kind of reinvention of, who am I, and how am I going to provide for my family and fulfill my objectives and my goals? Because like, I've always had kind of pretty big goals, and like oftentimes it was like those, not to point anybody specific out, but it's like sometimes it was like kind of viewed as silly, and it was like, well, why are you doing all this stuff? Like, we're not doing that. And it was kind of like, well, but this is what I'm doing, so like I'm doing it.
Yeah. So, not necessarily by the book, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I never was. Like, even growing up, like, I was, dad's English, mom's French, so there was always kind of that, like, we grew up in those little rural communities where it was, like, the French and the English even had some, like, rivalries and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, we were Acadian French, and so I went to school. I lived in Argyle, which was, like, an English little community, small, and then Pubnico is, like, a little Acadian French school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you French then? Or?
Yeah, bilingual on paper. Like it's like Fringlish though. Like I only talk to mom in French and like a select few people. So and it's like very much like if you don't use it, you lose it. Like
100%.
Like before it'd be like I can read it and like no problem, but if you're French too and you switch to French, I might have to think about a couple words instead of it just being like kind of fluid.
Yeah, I've also heard English is a very lazy language and has a lot of just random stuff that doesn't make any sense. Like my friend from Bangladesh, he moved to Winnipeg, and as he was learning English, he basically told me like, "Oh, it's raining cats and dogs." He literally thought people were saying cats and dogs, like it was like. They take it in a literal sense, right? Like people so the English language has a lot of just random rules.
Because there's no context to that.
Yeah, comment. It's like, oh, I want to see time fly. And it's like, oh, what's flying? And it's like, no, it's just a random expression. It's like, well, where did that come from? I don't know. It's just a thing, right? It just, you know what I mean? There's stuff even in Winnipeg, I remember like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is the team and the Winnipeg Gold Eyes is the team. And so one's baseball, one's football. And when we say we're going to the Gold Eyes game, we say, yeah, hitting up the Gold Eyes game. And when we say we're going to a Winnipeg Blue Bombers game, we say, yeah, we're heading to the Bomber game tonight. Nobody says the Bombers game. And I asked my dad, I'm like, well, why do people say Bomber? It's Bombers. No. I'm like, well, why is that? He's like, I don't know. It just is. Like,
yeah. So just, no explanation.
Yeah, it's just a lot of stuff in the English language just is kind of, it's like someone just made up a rule and said, all right, we're going for it. Like,
yeah, it reminds me of my childhood, dad being like, just don't do as I do as I say.
Yeah.
Like, just because. Like, it's like, oh, Oh, it's like they made the English language like that. But I mean, to read and write French is kind of annoying because there's a lot more like verbiage and like there's different,
Then you got to decide if the object is feminine or masculine,
Right.
and it's a chair, and it's like, is it a feminine object?
Yeah.
How? So you have to memorize feminine objects and masculine. That, like, what? That is like,
It's crazy. Yeah, I guess you got to think of it in the context of like who you're addressing, like to make that kind of distinction, and then I guess you have to know which they would be considered. It'd be a nightmare for today's generation with the pronouns. Writing it. I don't know how you'd write that in French, but
then it's past tense, or it's like. But if you're going like, okay, le chaise, je suis assis sur le chaise, and it's just like la chaise.
Yeah.
But in English, it's just the chair,
right.
a chair. You know what I mean? So it's like,
are you French? You know some French?
So I did K2 university, first year university of French. But like you said, it's use it or lose it, and I hadn't done anything since first year university French wise.
Right.
So I'm on my way out east here from Winnipeg. I'm at the Tim Hortons in Quebec, and I'm like, oh, I'm in a French place.
They'll eat you up. Man. They don't give a fuck.
She's like, you can order in English.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
I hate that.
But it's because my dad is actually, or was a French teacher, a French high school teacher, and he ordered his meal flawlessly at the Tim's. I'm like, all right, now it's my turn. And then she's looking at me like, you're not. You're
not the same. You're not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it drives me. Anyway, sorry if there's any like animal enthusiasts. We go on a big hunting trip in Quebec every year. Snow goose. It's like they're a nuisance.
Yeah.
Anyway, I go with a bunch of old fellas from back where I grew up because they're who I grew up hunting with, and I'm the French guy. So I go, and they're older fellas too. So they're like, all right, go. Here's some cash. Go get So my fee or my pay is like they pay for my coffee, and I go order all the coffee because they don't want to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
They're just English.
Yeah.
And man, like every year they do the same thing. I'd be like, all right, it's my time to shine. And they'd just be like, what? And they'd answer me in English. I'd just be, I think they think they're being polite, but it comes off so rude.
It does.
That I'm like, hey man, I'm trying to accommodate your language here that I'm actually on paper says I can speak.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I should maybe bring it with me.
It's on my LinkedIn.
Yeah. FYI, skills and expertise, bilingual. Look it up. And they're just like, yeah, no. And they got to get either they know English or they got to get the one person that knows English to come in and do it. And it's like, okay, what do you want? It's like a whole thing. And it's like, okay, Yeah, it's just hilarious that they do it to everybody. But I heard from my friend that's from Quebec, like I think a lot he's explained it, like they think they're being polite, but it's just like it's not received that way.
Yeah, and like I think it varies too, like Quebec versus like Montreal. Like I remember being at a Subway in Montreal, and it was like when I was a bit younger, but I came in there and I je vais avoir and then like it probably to them it probably sounds absolutely absurd, but he just kind of like, I remember him looking directly at me like, what do you want in your sandwich? That was his answer. And then I'm like, and then it got worse because like not only was it like the language barrier, but like I say what I want. He ends up putting a bunch of mayonnaise on it, but I wanted mustard. I think he misheard me. So I'll never forget it. He just takes this foot-long sub. I'm not even making this up. He folds it up and he chucks it. And me and my brother talk about this all the time. The guy took it, he's like, and he just threw it. Like, just grabs the new one. I'm like, I don't know what was going on with this guy that day, but he just threw this foot-long sub.
That's awesome. That reminds me, I just watched a meme. It was a guy ordering ice cream at an ice cream shop.
Yeah.
He orders this cone of ice cream. He's like, oh, I said chocolate. Guy goes, no problem. Takes it.
Oh, yeah.
Whips it. Fucking hits his coworker right in the forehead.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody just loses it laughing. He just gets him another ice cream. Nobody says anything. I mean, it's probably staged, but
yeah, I've
just
seen
reminds
a few of
me
those.
of that. It's just pop.
But it's like, and it's with those.
But
it's
you
like,
lived it.
Oh yeah, but the difference is with those, the one you're talking about, it's the hilarious part is how friendly, like how satire it is, where the person's like, oh, no problem, right? Like this one, no problem, right? Grabs it and just whip. And then even I saw the popcorn one, I think at the movies, where someone's like, oh, like could I get, I don't know, ask for butter or something like that? No problem. And just
hucks the thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if like, where's the manager during? That's my question. Like, is there a manager who sees the video and it's like, hey guys, like funny video? But if I would say like, what they should have done is like kind of like looped in the business, and then the business could get in on the viral aspect,
100%.
And then the manager can kind of approve. But if I'm a manager, I'm scrolling through, I'm like, hey, is that Caitlin? Like,
yeah,
what?
Is that my store?
Yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah. Like, oh, that like.
Imagine you get to Tim Hortons, they're just biffing donuts and Boston creams at people, man.
No, that's not a good. And I mean, like that's happened before. Whereas, like, I pulled into this McDonald's drive-through in Winnipeg, and I guess a couple of the people in the drive-through were like, they had seen the TikToks, the social media stuff, so they offered the meal on the house, like the McDonald's on the house. I was, oh man, thanks guys, I appreciate it. And I actually took out my phone and kind of was doing a Snapchat of them saying like, oh yeah, free meal. I'm like, oh, let's go McDonald's.
Yeah.
Literally the next day, I get like a DM from that person in the drive-thru, and they're like, hey man, would you be able to take down the video? My manager saw that. I'm like, how connected is social media, where like the manager had seen it apparently just like an hour after. And so I called that McDonald's, or I think I even called like the corporate level, because I was worried about that guy's job.
Right.
And I said like, hey, listen, like this is just as much like on me. Like I'm kind of egging him on. Like I don't want anything bad to happen to this guy's job. I would be a very happy customer if, they basically told me, yes, there will be like, a conversation, but not necessarily like, disciplinary action.
Yeah.
And then so I told that guy in the drive-thru, like, hey, I called McDonald's, like I got you, kind of thing. Because I honestly, like I felt absolutely awful that this guy, is like, the manager saw it, the manager's mad, and I'm like, you know what, like at the same time, it's just, what does it matter? Like, you guys are a billion dollar industry. It was a fun moment. I was a happy customer. And
it's good publicity for the McDonald's.
Oh yeah, like there's
how many did it get? Very many views, or did it not even get a chance to take off?
I mean, I think the manager saw it, right, and that's the thing. It's like that's why I was so surprised, because it wasn't even like a viral video yet, and the manager had already seen it. So it's just kind of like, it definitely put into perspective of like any video I put up of, let's say, Halifax, right? Like
somebody's seen it.
Everyone, it's either the person who's in it sees it, or someone who that person knows sees it. And like usually it's like, if I do I did a video, and this was honestly just this one blows my mind. I'm coming from Halifax to, I think it was Toronto. I was flying on WestJet, and there was this like, fairly attractive girl beside me, this cute blonde girl, whatever. And I'm like, I think I could do a TikTok with this and not show her. Like I never showed her in the actual video. It was me holding my camera, and it was just like selfie mode. And I put on the text, hey, if you're this cute girl on this WestJet flight,
I've seen it.
Yeah, from how, and I didn't mention time of departure or anything like that. And then I think it was probably like 7 minutes after I posted, like, hey, if you're the cute blonde girl, I think, I want to go on a date or something like that, whatever I said. It was 7 minutes in, and there was like probably half a dozen tags of that exact girl. And I'm like, how would
What do you mean? They knew who she was?
Yeah, like the people who viewed the video had they're like,
so they knew she was traveling and tagged?
They must have known that she had done some sort of video saying, hey, Blitz is beside me or something, because there's no other way that half a dozen people would have been able to tag her. Right. And no, all I said was Halifax to Toronto, WestJet.
Cute girl.
That's it. I didn't even show her. And
she get to you?
I think she actually had a boyfriend but they were, yeah. So there's actually like a group of them. There's like her, and they were all going down to, I think, Nashville for some like bachelorette party.
Oh, nice.
And
Sounds fun.
yeah, so I was just like, well, you know, I didn't on planes. Like I'm a little like iffy with like talking to people because I don't know. Like if you start the small talk, it's kind of like, okay, are we going full flight with this? Is this? And so it's like that's kind of a gray area. So it was like just near the end where we started talking, her and I. But yeah, like, and then the next flight, it's like, you know, I'm sitting there and it's going well, and then some guy besides me brings up like Justin Trudeau and politics and COVID and all this.
Nothing like, you really want to talk to strangers about.
Not at 5:30 in the morning.
No. No. Man, that reminds me, man, we were coming back from Toronto, me and my wife, and it's kind of one of those situations. So she had the window seat, I was in the middle, and then there's the aisle seat was open. And it's always like, who's gonna end up sitting there? Like, you're always thinking like, oh, please just be somebody like good, like somebody's grandma that's just not gonna cause you any trouble. Sure enough, I see this chick. I was like, fuck, it's going to be her for sure. She's just a nightmare loaded. I mean, this woman, it's amazing they let her on the flight. She was so messed up that she sat down next to me. She was saying all these sounds anyway. I didn't know what she was saying. And all I could get out was like, you know, I like to get out last when we land. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, we'll just cross over you then. No problem. Easy peasy. Passes out. And I mean, we're still like, people are coming on the plane, still putting their like luggage up, and like, we're just like getting ready. And next thing, like, finally we're ready to take off. And she just like, she's dead to the world, pops back up, starts getting up. She's like, I'm gonna leave last. And I was like, lady, we haven't even taken off yet. So you got to pipe down, just sit down, shut up. And she's just like, oh. And just like passed back out, and like she didn't even wake up when we got to where we were actually going, which was back home, Halifax, and like we just crossed over, and it was like, man, like,
so the flight attendant had to come and like, hey, like, this is your stop.
I think so. We were already out.
Oh god.
But she thought like we had come and gone, and like
yeah,
that. She was in a state.
Well, I mean, honestly, like it's tough, like on planes sometimes, like, you know, jet lag and everything. I was so tired coming back from, I think it was either Winnipeg to Toronto, or I can't remember what it was, but
3.5 hours.
It was about 3 hours, yeah. But the I'm sitting there, and then the flight attendant comes through and says, "Hey, you know, what would you like to drink?" I'm like, "Oh, Diet Coke, please," right?
Yeah.
Just, you know, I'll smile. Yeah, Diet Coke. From the time that she cracked this can of Diet Coke, poured it, and handed it to me, I was out. I kid you not, and I awoke to, "Your Diet Coke, sir," and like, I don't know how I was able to just, it was, yeah, Diet Coke, and I guess I just passed out in 0.5 seconds, and then I woke up to just
Diet Coke in your hand,
and I'm like, wow, I'm really sleep deprived. Like, this is not good to be able to just
a little micro sleep.
Yeah, and I mean, like, granted, like, it's tough to sleep on planes too. Like, I know some people, like, they got the neck pillows. Some people like to, you know, just, you know.
Man, you should talk to my wife, bro. She can sleep anywhere.
Oh, really?
Oh, man, it's amazing. Envious. I mean, I don't have trouble sleeping, but, like, I'm not a great flyer.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and I'm aware of, like, how stupid people are and the risks involved of like being like 30,000 feet in the air. Like, I'm just not a fan. But anyway, my wife, she doesn't have a fear in the world, to be honest. She's like, wants to go skydive. I'm like, none of that. But anyway, we're going to Mexico. So we get on the plane, and she has like the whole deal. She has a whole system to travel. We got the neck roll. Man, she's got the friggin' the eye mask.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're sitting down, getting ready, like, got all the bags in. We're good to go. She goes, yeah, well, see you in Mexico. Puts the eye mask on. I don't even lie. She's stone dead asleep before we take off, and she didn't wake up till we landed in Mexico.
Oh, my.
I mean, I'm going through turbulence. I'm white knuckling. I'm just like, oh, my God, she's done. Not even, like, turbulence didn't wake her up. None of the announcements woke her up. Me getting up didn't wake her up. she's just like, you could pick her up like a doll and just
Yeah.
just
I
take
wonder,
her.
is that, I'm thinking like, is that like, because some people are amazing sleepers. Some people are just can't do it. Like I'm one of those people, I'm awful at sleeping. And it's just like, I think some people just, I don't know, they're able to just, shut down their body, shut down their mind with ease. But I think honestly, maybe like you might have that entrepreneurial mindset. I kind of have that where
My brain doesn't stop.
right. It's just continuously going. But yeah, no, it's like I caught like a little bit of sleep coming back from that flight. And then it's weird because like I awoke to the flight attendant going, "Oh, like move your seat up. We're landing the plane." And to this day, how does the reclining the seat affect the plane land? Like I don't understand. And it's not like you're going full lazy boy back 90 degrees. Like it's literally like here.
I don't know.
And it's
they're not giving you much. Yeah,
just like,
you're just getting enough relief so you can just like nod off.
Yeah.
It's not like you're way back there.
I did notice too, though, the
maybe it's like the angle of launch. If you were to fetch up, you'd like fly over the seats instead of right into the net. I don't know, man.
Well, even I'm not sure if you fly WestJet often or Air Canada or.
You know what? I mean, I've done both. I've done WestJet, Air Canada, Porter. Honestly, like, for the amount of corporate flying I did for Unilever, it was kind of, you had to pick whatever's cheaper. And then, I mean, if I'm flying for myself, I mean, it's kind of the same deal. So, or points or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we have a WestJet like card or whatever. So we try and use, like, if we can, the points there. But yeah, no, what do you ask?
Well, I mean, I was on that WestJet flight and I'm like, I swear that these planes keep getting smaller, like the seats.
Oh,
because I'm sitting there. And my knees are almost touching the seat in front. And I'm not a big guy at all. And I'm like, what if someone's 6'3"? Like, how do they even fit in the seat?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. And I don't know who makes the decisions, but I'm sure they're designing like maximum capacity based off average size people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be. And they want to get as many people on them things as they can.
Yeah. I was sitting on that flight and I was like, holy smokes, like this is, and I wanted to get to the bathroom and this is nuts. Cause I was like, normally if you want to go to the bathroom, the people sitting next to you, they'll stand up, they'll go into, go. So I got one of these. I'm like, hey, I got to use the bathroom. I got to scoot back. The two people so I'm like, I don't know what these people were thinking. So I'm like trying to step over them.
Your ass is in their face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then these people like in the same row, but like on the other side of the aisle, they're like looking over because they're watching this like 200-pound guy trying to.
Yeah. What are you like 5'10"?
5'8".
Okay.
5'8", but I'm like 205. So it's just this like
right.
Trying to excuse me, like how did they not get up and get into the aisle and
yeah, that's when you just don't feel bad about your ass brushing up against your face. Like you're getting dusted, lady. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, how does that smell? Right? It's like some people are just crazy, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm not a big flyer. Like I hate it. And there's just like something about like being in a little cigar tube hurling through the air at like 400 miles an hour, 30,000. I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I love to get to where I'm going, but like, I don't know.
Well, and after the flight too, it's like, I got back to Winnipeg or back to Halifax and I was like, man, like I have a bit of a headache. Like I feel exhausted from that flight. I'm like, what? Yeah, I don't know. I was just sitting there for 3 hours. What's going on? It's like, no, you were being assaulted. Like you were being like launched.
Yeah.
Like that's why it's like after a flight, like people don't, oh, I'm a little tired after my flight. Yeah, you were clipping.
Hurling through the air.
Yeah. It's like riding a roller coaster for 3 hours.
Yeah, breathing recycled air. Everybody's ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course you feel like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a roller coaster guy or
I mean, I'll do it just for my wife cuz she'd probably force me, but
yeah.
Have you been on some big roller coasters?
Yeah, and we usually go down to Minneapolis. Valley Fair is the big one my brother and I would go to often. Initially it was like Disney World, of course, like my family. You got to do it. So my family.
I never went yet. I want to go.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
my wife's been, but I'm a giant kid too, so I'd love it.
Yeah, it's honestly like they it's just the lineups. Like I remember, like we studied a whole entire book that this guy wrote about Disney World of how to skip every line in Disney World, and it literally he wrote it down to a T. It was like at 12:37, go and buy a fast pass for the Buzz Lightyear ride. Then don't go on it. Go ride the Men in Black. Grab lunch if you want. And like I don't know what this book was, but my dad bought this book, and it was this guy who just was a specialist in minimal
Disney
lines.
Specialist.
Yeah,
I like it.
it was unreal. Like,
did it work?
Yeah, and like we thought it was stupid because like we were going on a ride that like had a crazy lineup, but let's stick through the half an hour lineup here because at 2:30 there'll be no lineup at the Hulk ride. Like, so we just knew, and everyone else like, well, I'm not waiting in that line. It's like, yeah, but we have a plan.
Right.
Like, we got a whole thing going on. Like,
it's crazy, man. We're digging up like scrolls and friggin' pharaohs in Egypt, and some person like 1,000 years down the road is gonna be like, here's the Disney blueprint to not be in lines.
Yeah.
Here you go. This is what they were doing 10,000 years ago. Oh man, that's crazy. But it's great that it works. It's like a real blueprint.
Well, and it sucks because like my mom, she's very claustrophobic, and the first ride we go on was this like I think it was Mission Earth or something like that.
Oh yeah, sounds spacey.
And then it's like so they bring down the top in this like small little capsule, and then I think some guy comes around. He's the employee, and my mom goes, "Oh, excuse me, like, does this thing go down?" And I think his answer was literally yes, and then he shut it.
She's like,
yes,
yeah.
Oh, but are you claustrophobic at all, or not?
A little bit.
I think everyone is a little bit.
Yeah, I'm more. Okay, short answer is yes. Like when I do, like there's a couple types of jiu-jitsu. There's like no-gi, which is just like, like a Under Armour shorts kind of type wrestling more type stuff. And the gi is like the traditional, like, the white kind of, big wool pajamas. And like that tends to get pretty hot. And you can kind of like, restrict like straight jacket, so to speak, like their arms. And like if somebody were to be on top, like kind of with something like that and like, we're covering my face. Like, yeah, I do get pretty claustrophobic. And I remember helping my dad fix the tailgate, kind of the end of the boat. And I had to go in like where like the steering controls were because he couldn't fit.
Yeah.
Because he was an adult and I was just a kid. And I remember doing that. And I was like, that was pushing the limits. Because it was like,
yeah.
And like hold the wrench. And like, he's like, "Rrr," and like it was to take a couple nuts off to take this big aluminum tailgate off the boat.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you got to do it. He's like, because I'm not hiring anybody to do it. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's like just like sometimes people just want to know that they can exit said thing if they have a chance to, right? Like that's and
fight
that's
or flight.
Yeah, and like that's where like claustrophobia really sets in, where it's just like, I remember like I think it was what was it? I think it was at Disney World where anything like a tunnel, and then like they shut the door behind you, and then it's just like so you couldn't even get out if you wanted to because there's nothing on the sides. That kind of stuff is a little iffy because it's just like, oh man, like big crowds too. Like even like some events in Halifax, like getting out of that like comedy show and just like there's just a massive crowd and you're just
and everybody's shoulder to shoulder.
Jeez.
Yeah, man. I don't know if it's like just getting older or like more aware of like the dangers, and I don't know. But like for me, it's like the big like I never used to be big. Never used to be afraid of heights. Don't like heights.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big fan of like in confined spaces, and like what? Shamefully to admit, because obviously as a kid, like being in the water, lakes, all that stuff was super fun. Now, couldn't pay me to get in a open body of water. That's not a pool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go in, but I'm not lounging in there. Like just I don't know. I know there's nothing in Nova Scotia like that can really do any, but like I don't know. I just don't like the unknown and not being able to see. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like what lies underneath. Well,
yeah.
I mean, and they're honestly like they're out there. Like the great whites are out there. And,
oh yeah, in the ocean for sure.
Oh yeah.
Like I seen you at Splash. I was like,
yeah.
Well, see ya, Blitz.
Yeah. Well,
what's that great white that's circling around?
And
right?
I'm that's like one of my biggest fears is sharks. And of course, my buddy comes up to me the other day, and I guess he was riding a Sea-Doo with his brother, and he pulls up a picture, and it's literally like riding a Sea-Doo. And I don't even know how this guy got the picture, how he was able to get it. But like right underneath the Sea-Doo, there was like a great white shark. I'm like, no.
Sea-Doo is only for lakes.
Oh wait, what am I talking?
No, that's my rule.
Oh, I'm like, see, that shows how much of a prairie he's got.
No. Like, for me, like a Sea-Doo is not a big enough craft to be in the ocean.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Well, and what if you fall? Like, if you fall off your Sea-Doo, someone said that you have to, like, it keeps going for a bit at least.
Well, there's a kill switch. Like the key is just like this. Like I'm gonna stick this in this hole, and then there's like a little like, wire attached to your.
Oh, so it's like
jacket.
The treadmills at the gym.
Yes.
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
So if you fly off, like you're not getting that thing burning your face off.
Right.
You're just like folded up on the ground.
Or even like it still going.
Yeah, but the engine's disengaged.
Right.
In a wall.
Oh, okay. But even so, then it's like.
Oh, you're not getting back on it. The shark's got you. You're done.
Well, I mean, but I heard it's kind of this gray area where like people say sharks are harmless, they won't touch you and everything, but then other people say like
tell the fucking dead people.
yeah. Like honestly, like if a shark is hungry enough, if it's pissed off enough that you're in its waters, it will take a bite out of your arm.
Listen.
Like,
if I was a shark and I'm just swimming through the ocean, then some dumb shit just falls in the water next to me, I'm probably be like, oh, might eat that guy.
Yeah.
You've interrupted me.
Yeah.
And I'm the apex predator of the sea.
Well,
I mean,
and
I don't know.
And it's always like you see those like shark attack videos like in bold letters caught on camera, and it's like it's always 5 bozos with like swimming around in scuba gear like literally, I saw this video. It's like shocking shark attack on, and it's like there's 5 of them, literally like swarming the shark with like a video camera, and then the shark thing just had enough and just right, and then it swam away. It's like, what do you guys possibly think is going to happen if you're in their waters and they were like circling the shark, so it was like trying to get where it wanted to go, and they're just all if you blocked my way, eventually I'd probably punch you in the face
and get out and go where I want.
Like
there's like 5 of you.
Yeah, it's like literally like that's the equivalent of like trying to like walk to like the Pint, and there's someone on Argyle Street that's like doing one of those.
Yeah.
As you're like I would be like boop, like right? Just to get. That's all it is. That's all these sharks are doing, and it's like, man, they still scare me, but
I'm just not going there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, there's people that want to swim with sharks. Fill your boots. I'll look at your videos and your pictures.
Yeah.
There's no part of me that wants to experience that.
Yeah.
I'd be terrified, and that's it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't come out and be like, that was awesome. No. I'd be like, that was the most terrifying experience I've ever endured.
Oh, yeah.
And I just happened to not die.
No jujitsu is gonna save.
Save you're not strangling the shark.
No, there's no guillotine.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a new version where you stick in the gills or what. I don't know, but it's like, yeah, man, 100%, pretty similar fears. I think like I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
and like even like we've been out like I don't know, like we fished like 8 hours offshore with Dad, but we had like 50-foot boat. It's like it's 20 plus feet wide. Like it was a pretty big craft. I mean, there's some boats now that are way bigger, but I don't know why. It was just like, I think it was because Dad had like 30 years of like sea time. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like anything with Dad. It was just like, you just knew he had enough life experience. At least my dad, like not to say other people's dads don't, but like, I just knew you were kind of like taken care of on the boat.
Yeah.
Because we've come across like humpback whales. Like,
oh, really?
yeah, like I went tuna fishing out with my uncle off Graminan, which is a small island off of New Brunswick. There was like a big basking shark right next to the boat. So they're like the plankton feeding ones. So not like the whale shark, but like still huge. Like it was the size of the boat, big friggin' tail fin. It was scary to see, but because we were young, we were like, me and my brother were there. I think we were like, I don't know, 13 and 12 or something.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, come see this. We're like, holy man. It was like, yeah, it was just like chilling next to the boat because we just like shut off and like, kind of bob around like a cork when we're not working.
Yeah.
If we weren't close enough to port, then you just start up and the next day you just keep going. Like one day there's so many whales, we couldn't even see tuna. Swear, yeah, it was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, they're just jumping everywhere.
You got to bring me out to sea on one of these. Like I haven't even had seafood before. Like I haven't even had fish. Like
what?
Yeah, I know it's.
What are you guys eating?
Beaver tails and
beaver.
No, it's honestly like there is seafood in Winnipeg. But it's like I come out here and someone's like, oh my God, you got to go down to Shediac, have a lobster roll. You got to do this and that. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know why I was picturing a lobster roll to be like sushi or something. I don't
suppose.
know. Yeah,
how would you know?
A roll. So like, and then I saw a picture, and it's like a sandwich, right?
It's a
like,
hot dog bun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why it's ever called a roll. It's yeah.
That annoyed me a bit how it was called a roll because that was very misleading.
It is misleading.
But even I thought lobsters were red like from the jump, like everything, and it's like someone's like I didn't know this, and someone's like,
because they're cooked,
right? And that's what people are saying, like no lobsters are actually black.
Yeah, kind of, with some orangey.
And I'm like, what? And then there's like
some of them are blue.
Someone I saw that picture. Someone said it's
rare.
like 1 in a million or something like that.
Dad caught one before. It's cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So then if that blue one gets cooked, it turns red.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it might not be the reddest of the red, but I'm sure it'll be. Yeah.
Because I was in was it Eastern Passage? I think it was.
Just at the end of the cirque.
Yeah, and just kind of walk by, and it's like I guess like they have the traps, like the lobster traps, all set up by the boats there.
Yeah,
and it's just like this is all kind of that's what kind of so fascinating about this East Coast experience is because like you have a guy from the prairies who's never tried seafood, doesn't really understand, anything about like the ocean or the East Coast, the music, like, so even like, the Rankin family, like, I'll be DJing, I'll play that, and people are like, oh yeah, this is East Coast music, night Pat Murphy died and all that.
Oh, so this is all new to you.
Oh, like, so in Winnipeg, I had never really heard of the Rankin family, this Heave Away, like, all this was
Port City shit, man.
Yeah, so it's like, I had heard East Coast influence. Like we had like festivals in Winnipeg where, fiddlers would come through and stuff like that. So we had our own little culture, but it's very different out here. And just I actually really like the music. Like it's like on was it by the waterfront around Christmas time? I think it was like a week before Christmas, and there's a full-blown fiddle concert going on by the market, and I'm like, man, what is going on in my life here? It's a week before Christmas, and it never snows for some reason in Halifax on Christmas or around Christmas.
You guys get a lot of snow up there that time of year? Yeah, Manitoba gets pelted.
It's like from like early November, I'd say, or even like Halloween. Sometimes we'll get like a few snowflakes going on, but then around April, done. So it's like November to April. Snow, but then what I will say though is that it hasn't been the best summer in Halifax weather-wise. Like it's been pretty.
Yeah, it's been pretty gray.
But it's not. So I find like when I go downtown, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's already chilly. Like you could bring a sweater at 10.
Yeah, absolutely. In the mornings too.
But yeah. But in Winnipeg, it's like 10 p.m. It's like over 25 because it's that dry prairie heat.
Right.
But then granted, we also have like minus 40 winters. So it's like, well, enjoy your winters, guys. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, no, that's, I have been enjoying the weather. We definitely like, we have more rain here, I think, this summer. That like I swear
This has been a rainy year.
Oh, it's like the whole entire week, like Monday to Friday will be great, it seems. And then all of a sudden on the weekend, like if it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, usually like you only get like 2 out of the 3 that are nice weather.
Yeah.
And one of them rains.
It's like in true Atlantic fashion.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's like one of the things you just got to get used. But like sometimes you'll get like the full days all nice and it's just like best week ever.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
There was that stretch though where we had no, like, I don't know, I can't remember what month it was, but I swear like we had, maybe it was like right before those wildfires.
Yeah, it was most of May.
It was dry.
Scorcher. Yeah. It was quite
So that was interesting.
Yeah. And then we just rained like basically for all June after they got those fires under control. It's like, man, we could have used that a little earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, man, we'll have to get you out, experience a little bit more of the East Coast. Put the phone down for a minute and actually eat some food. And maybe go for it's funny you say that. I'll see if they it might not work for your schedule, but I'm going deep sea fishing with a couple buddies. I got invited. I don't know if they got an extra spot or not, but they're going out of Lunenburg.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like a, few hour thing. But anyway, if it's not that one, you want to do stuff like I'm all in. I'm like a huge like fishing outdoorsman, like all that stuff. So
absolutely.
And like I like to eat too. Do you do a lot of partying or you just more DJing? Are you drinking? Or?
Honestly, like I'm not a huge drinker just because like I'm a big athlete. Like I'm a half marathon runner.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're a runner?
Yeah. So
and you should come out to some of the run groups with the guys I go to.
I'd be down. Honestly, I was gonna do the Blue Nose half marathon in Halifax, but something didn't work out. So I was like, okay, I wasn't quite ready for that. So I figured I'd do the next one, but I didn't realize like Blue Nose is pretty much it marathon wise. Like,
and my boys, Peter Smith and the guys that they're trail runners. If you want to do trail stuff, that's super cool. If you want to see some neat stuff, I can't say I've been running with them lately, but I just fell off. Like real estate got busy this summer, but they run a Wednesday night social group, 6:00. And they kind of do different parts of Nova Scotia trail running. And they also have like an all out trail race company, and they're doing a 10K race in October. I think I'm going to do, but it's a trail race. And they do a lot of cool events. And then I know some other folks that run with the Halifax Road Hammers, and they're more just specifically road running. Yeah. And then my buddy Ryan Keeping and Cody LeBlanc, which is they do Flip the Switch podcast. They're a cool bunch of young guys, couple young guys, and they do the Bedford Run Club on Tuesdays. So there's a ton of run groups if you want to get into it. Just let me know. I'll go whenever. We can go run whenever, man. Yeah. Like I can do 10 no problem. That's kind of my go-to.
What about like a 20K, like 13 milers? That
oh yeah, we could do it. Yeah, man. Like I did 15 with Cody and them. That was like in Ryan. That was my furthest. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, and my background's like strength sports, bodybuilding. So I was I was like 30 pounds heavier too. So that was kind of my jam growing up, was like strength and hockey and all that. And then a few injuries, kind of had to refocus. And now I'm more into like the overall fitness, martial arts, and like running is a good byproduct to getting my cardio up for like my sparring. So I'm not like a diehard I love runner, but I do love the result, and I love like making myself do something I don't like doing. Like we're talking about being uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. And every time I want to go a bit further, it's uncomfortable to go further because you're like, well, you only need to do like your regular run, right? Yeah. Like in your head.
And the thing is, like, sometimes like the motivation for it is like, there'll be times where I'll take a few nights off of a run or the gym, and I'll be enjoying myself watching Netflix, eating a burger or whatever. And I'm like, this is too good of a meal to enjoy regularly. In my mind, I already know like I shouldn't. This is just too good. This is like this feel like, and it's like, that's how I judge if stuff's healthy or not. I'm like, this tastes like it's probably not great for you.
So you feel like you need to get moving after that?
Yeah.
Is that your motivation?
Like I usually eat pretty well. I like to have just like small meals during the day, spaced out. but like other times I've tried like the whole intermittent fasting where it's like don't eat anything and then go. I find that doesn't really work, but but it's honestly like I don't know about you, but like I am starving in the morning, and then come evening, I could literally have a granola bar and be good for like it. Just in the mornings, it's just starved. Like I might hit up the IHOP in Bedford after this, but because I haven't eaten today, but yeah, like it's just honestly like junk food is the big one for me. Like if I have like an opportunity to crush some Jolly Rancher Misfits, some licorice, like I literally, and it's like people think I'm nuts, because I'm like, guys, do not leave that bag of licorice there because I promise, like, and it's like they chuckle or whatever, and sure enough, 5 minutes later, it's gone. And like, man, you ate the whole thing. I was like, I said to you guys, I am addicted to licorice and candy and everything, and I will eat that entire bag.
So that's great. It's funny, we're exactly the opposite. So for me, I'm not hungry in the mornings because I get up and I get a coffee, I'm going to jiu-jitsu, I train fasted, and I don't really get too hungry until like I'm like, oh, it's lunchtime. And then for me, it's like crackers, chips.
Oh, salty.
Yeah. And like I don't buy I can't have it in the house, like to you, the licorice bag. Like, so like if I'm going to have a snack, I know I try and buy like my wife too. She helps out. She'll like buy healthier types of crackers. And it's like, I still eat them, but I complain about it, but I don't go buy it.
Yeah.
And she knows I won't like gorge myself with like healthier crackers. I'll eat a bowl of it. But like, a few times I was like, oh man, I'm just going to get a bag of Doritos. Like, nacho, maybe some Zesty Mordens. You watch Trailer Park Boys?
Yeah. Yeah.
And man, anyway, and then she goes to Costco because we do a lot of our shopping at Costco in bulk or whatever. But like, there's some stuff you just don't need like that much of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, lo and behold, she comes back from Costco. She's got a family-sized bag of Doritos.
Oh, no.
And I go, what the fuck is that? She goes, well, I know you just been buying these little bags of Doritos. I figured I'd just buy a big one. You could just take bowls of it instead of just keeping buying the little bags. I go, sweetheart, that's not how it works.
That's the point, is the portion size.
She goes, well, can't you just take I go, Caitlin, once it's open, it's done.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're not going to eat that whole bag in one sitting. Well, I mean, it took the day.
Yeah.
But didn't make it too much into the next one. And I didn't feel great about myself, physically, mentally, or any of the above. So I get it, but I'm like the total opposite. And I tend to want to eat more after I'm like done doing my stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're kind of like, a lot of your job is like, I guess mine's in the evening, but not as late.
Well, it's like I'm, obviously, a night owl, and a lot of those meals, and I was talking to a few people who, frequent the clubs or party animals, whatever. And it's like people wonder why that 2:30 or 3 a.m. meal hits different. I'm like, well, put it this way. You arrived at the club, downtown at what, 8:39, let's call it, even 10. Okay. So you had your last meal, obviously, at 7. Maybe 7, maybe even earlier. And it's now,
some people never maybe.
Yeah, so some people maybe had a snack in the afternoon, and now it's 2 in the morning, and you're wondering why you're craving McDonald's. You're not even craving McDonald's. Your body has not eaten for probably 5 to 6 hours.
Almost a full day's of work.
Right. So and the people are like, oh, okay. I was wondering why, like after the bar's like, oh, Dawn's on. It's like, yeah, you need a meal, but probably like not McDonald's at 3 a.m. is probably not the greatest, but
or like 3 slices of pizza.
Yeah. Oh, Sicilian, or like was a pizza. I was at like Pizza Girls last night, and I'm a folder now.
You like to fold?
Yeah. It's honestly like at first I didn't really understand it.
It limits the mess.
Well, so like I guess people would do donair sauce, then fold.
Did you guys do that in Manitoba? Donair sauce.
We don't have donair sauce.
Yeah.
I don't even
think of it.
Honestly, like
Sorry, I kind of interrupted.
No, like it's. So I didn't know what donair sauce was. I got a bit confused when someone said it's also a meat. Thought that was a bit confusing.
Right. Yeah, well.
It's like donair. You tried the donair poutine. I was like, oh, so it's no, that's a meat. Okay. But honestly, like I'm not a big donair sauce guy on pizza. I would dip it probably in like the the crust, maybe
Right.
something like that. But I just found like, yeah, the slices were so big at Cecilia and Pizza Girls that it's like it did make sense.
Yeah.
Whereas if
otherwise it's all over.
yeah, it's just, it's floppy. Apparently that's a New York thing though, the folding the pizza.
Is it?
Someone said it's a New York thing, but I had never seen anyone my entire life in Winnipeg fold a pizza slice.
So they're not that big in Manitoba.
No. But yeah, then I come here, I'm like, oh, that actually is really tasty. It actually tastes like you're eating a calzone. When you fold it, it's like you get double bread. But anyway, yeah, like I had some nice pizza yesterday, and that's usually 2:33 in the morning. Get a nice street meat's absolutely unbelievable. Like that's
you guys don't have street meat?
No, like I'm sure we have something similar in Winnipeg, but you get the sriracha sauce on with the skewers, and it's like, James, he runs that Rocky's place, and it's like it's cheap. It's probably healthy. Like I want to say it's healthy,
as long as it's not like cats from the alleyway.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
just kidding.
but it's like,
I'm sorry.
but it's like, honestly, like it's like they probably marinate the skewers in some sort of sauce.
It's amazing every time.
Oh, it's so good. And it's like, but you never know sometimes, like the lineups after the club, like, okay, is it going to be, a long lineup down the street? And then mostly, like, just generally speaking, like the lineups in Halifax for everything downtown is absolutely bananas. Like, you have to, on a Saturday night in downtown Halifax, if you want to get into the beer garden, you probably got to wait 45 minutes is my guess. Like, at least maybe an hour. Oh, it's beer garden, and a lot of these places aren't even like, I think my brother said he's coming down to Halifax pretty soon, like in early September, and he said he was checking out some of the restaurants that he'd want to go to, and he said a lot of them on the weekends they're sold out. Like
yeah, man, that never used to happen.
Yeah,
in the history of Halifax, I've never ever, like before this whole pandemic, all this crap, like I've never called and been like, no, we don't have any seats.
That's not tonight. It's crazy.
And now it's like you can't, like any decent restaurant, if you didn't book it like a week ahead, you're not getting a reservation.
So theoretically, if I wanted to go to the Bicycle Thief,
you definitely need a reservation.
Really? Oh man, like it's just, and even like
I mean, you could roll up and wait, but I'm not about that life.
Yeah. Well, and then it's tough because like, so we went to the beer garden and said, okay, we'll put your name on this list. It'll be about a 45-minute wait. And this is like a Saturday afternoon, and the boardwalk's absolutely like, it's packed. Nuts. So we're like, okay, well, I guess like we're not just about to sit in front of the beer garden and wait 45 minutes.
Watch everybody else drink their beer.
Yeah.
Right.
So we did like a walk, around, and then we came back around a time of what we thought kind of felt like 45 minutes. And then we go up and they're like, hey, yeah, we called your name. And then I was like, she's like, yeah, I called TikTok guy. And I guess she wrote down, my name is TikTok guy. She said, TikTok guy. So I thought that was funny.
Name is Blitz, bitch. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. but so we missed our announcement, and then so okay, well, we'll try to get you in. So, luckily we got in, but like if they could implement some kind of like buzzer system, that would be a logistical nightmare because people would run away with them. But
and they don't give a shit out there because they're just filling your seat with whoever.
Yeah.
Man. Like they don't care what drunk guy's getting in the next one, right? Yeah. Yeah, they could definitely do a better job. Where do they have those? They do have buzzers somewhere.
Moxie's?
Yeah, maybe Moxie's.
Yeah.
But then I guess if you're on the waterfront, they're probably like, oh, they're going to fucking take these things.
Yeah, they'd be,
But, yeah, man, that's crazy. So, couple last questions. I know you're starving. You just woke up, so I don't feel as bad. You say you live in Sackville. So
yeah.
I made this guy get up. He was working all night.
Drove
just
7 minutes.
Right over there. Right? So, gotta ask you why you hate the Seagulls here in Halifax. And what do you like the most about being here? Like, what really drove you to be here? Like, what did you just like, that globe out? Did you just spin that and we're like, going out east or what?
So, the Seagulls they're so annoying.
Yeah, we need to get rid of them.
Well, it's like I'm having a nice a nice evening with this girl I just met, Michaela. We're sitting there, and like, there's nothing like, having a conversation with someone, eating some pizza, and have a seagull like right behind you, trying to.
Yeah, he's
but
getting in your space.
but they're so they'll fly around there. But honestly, like, for me, it was just kind of trying to pick a place where I could duplicate what I had done in Winnipeg. And there was a lot of doubts about, like, okay, I had done a 10-year run, and, was this a fluke to have the success in Winnipeg? Was this truly, hard work? Could I do it again? And a lot of people just kind of had that same mentality. They're like, oh, buddy is unknown outside of Winnipeg. Good luck with that. Nobody's going to know you out there. And it was when I kind of went out east, and I had, I think it was at Peaks Key in Prince Edward Island. And there was this random girl who came up to me, and she's like, hey, DJ Blitz. I'm like, hey, a Winnipegger. And she's like, looking at me, she's like, what, huh? Right? And I'm like, you're from Winnipeg, right? Because I just assumed, well, she knew who I was, and we're on the other side of Canada in the East Coast. She goes, no, I'm from PEI. I'm like, yeah, but like, you were born in Winnipeg. Like, how do you know? Yeah. She's like, I've been following you for like a year. I see your TikToks all the time. And then I hear, like, I meet someone else, and they're like, yeah, like, I'm from Calgary. I've seen your stuff there. You're popping off in Ottawa. You're popping off in, Vancouver. I'm seeing your stuff in Vancouver lately. And I was like, so hold on here. Is it possible that all this time I was in Winnipeg, all this is going on outside of Canada where people know Blitz, but they can't really, I'm unable to prove that to people in Winnipeg, because all they know is just the guy in Winnipeg. And it turns out it's like people I go to, what was it? Like, I think it was New Brunswick, and I had like a couple dozen followers of people from New Brunswick who had followed me. And then this Prince Edward Island one was the one where it was like a light bulb, where she's like, no, I'm from Prince Edward Island. I know who you are, even though you're from Winnipeg. And that's when I'm like, okay, Halifax it is, because that's the biggest city that gives you the biggest opportunity. And there's not a lot of influencers, people were saying, in Halifax. I would probably get stomped in Toronto, and Montreal has kind of their own culture going on. So it was a decision that my parents didn't really like, because I'm literally,
of course they wouldn't.
Yeah, 35 hours away. Yeah. Granted, even if I was like in Calgary, that's still a 12-hour drive. It's still a flight. Like, it's, if you're away, you're away.
Yeah.
But
it's just a tough part of getting
yeah,
for the parents, right?
And like, I mean, like, I just turned 29 right now, and I turned 29 in March, and I was like, okay, like, I mean, how big is this window? It's like, one thing you can't get back is time. So I'm like, if I don't pull the trigger right now, and at least, what's the worst thing that could happen? Come to Halifax, it doesn't work out. Maybe I head back to Winnipeg and just resume what I was doing before. That's literally the worst thing that could happen. And then I noticed, like, I was like, you know what? Let's just dive right into it. Said, I just found out that it is, in fact, not pronounced Dartmouth. And that was the first video I'd ever done. I threw that up.
Oh, they're all over you, I bet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it was like, and then I did just like a walk around of the Halifax shopping center, and I was like, oh, I'm at the Halifax shopping center. This place is so cool. Those first two videos both hit 100,000 views in a day. And I was like, okay, I think I might have something here. So I just kept on going. And then I noticed kind of more and more people are like seeing the TikToks, and that's literally what people are seeing in Halifax is what I did in Winnipeg.
Really?
And it's just local content, and it's a little different because like I'll be downtown and I'll be like on the street, like having a conversation with someone about like their fishing trip out to, you know what I mean? Like Cape Breton or whatnot. I love the community aspect here. And that's why I think like I'm kind of like an ambassador of, community, like,
yeah, man, 100%.
Family Over Fame is someone I promote a lot. Like that's Alex Ross, like his brand. So people always see me wearing Family Over Fame.
Okay.
Local businesses, I'm big on like promoting them for free sometimes. So it's like, honestly, Halifax just feels like it's home for me.
Well, that's great. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah. And that's just, it's kind of like sky's the limit, and I just want to see, where this can all go.
Fucking right, man. Yeah, I mean that's awesome. That's great perspective. I love how you've really like thought about it too, like strategically, like and like really kind of implemented like, you know, a plan and you know, and you're living it. So and yeah, man, and it's cool. I mean, I got a good vibe from just like your account. It's like I'm very much the same thing. Like this like Halifax Network podcast was, you know, kind of a way for me to enjoy making content and obviously connecting with people that, you know, some have always been from here, some are new moving here. And I'm just a big fan of Halifax in general for the same reasons, the community, you know, for similar reasons. Like since starting this podcast, I mean, I'm not a podcaster, I'm not Joe Rogan, I'm not, you know, arguably no, but I'm still building who I am. And the support and messages that you get that you just like that are from people that you wouldn't expect it to come from. Like I would expect the support to come from the obvious places, and it's, you know, no offense if any of them are watching, but it's like that's not where it's coming from. It's like total complete strangers or people I haven't seen or heard from in years. They're like, man, like love what you're doing, watch all your videos, love the real estate stuff, didn't know this, didn't know that, thanks for telling me this. And like, yeah, man, like I want to talk to DJs that are here, you know, doing cool stuff and they're repping local. I want to talk to businesses, services, and products, and it's very much about, you know, you can't come up on your own. Like, what's the fun in that?
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can kind of help a few people along the way, or, you know, meet a few cool people along the way, and kind of all get there together. I mean, that's the dream for me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't want to be up there on my own. Pretty lonely.
And you hit the nail on the head with, like, honestly, in Winnipeg, it definitely felt like I was a bit more lone wolf in the sense of, like, I was so focused on the brand, and I never really kind of took my eyes off that until I realized, like, wait a minute, like, let's get a team going in Halifax. So now it's like, you know, I'm looping other people in. I'm like always trying to showcase, you know, this person and you know, this business, and it's like it's actually like a really fun feeling.
Absolutely.
Like when it's like the pizza shop guy. I was out in Wolfville last night actually, and you know, I'm like walking around Wolfville. It's like 1:30 in the morning, and you know, at this pizza place in Wolfville. Then I'm out at the Anvil. Yeah, I made a video about how like I, you know, might want to head down to the Anvil. They send me a message like, oh man, come by, you know.
Nice.
Met the manager there in Wolfville, met the DJ there, and just like, I'm outside and I'm in Wolfville. It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm having a chat with all these people from Wolfville, and I'm like, man, like, it's so cool how this opportunity of like my craft has allowed me to meet like hundreds, thousands of people. And I mean, granted, like without that, it'd be, you know, interesting if they'd want to chat, but it doesn't matter. It's just, you know, a lot of people ask me like about, you know, my time in Halifax, what I'm enjoying most and everything. It's like, honestly, it's the people. Like,
yeah, man.
There's no East Coasters. There's this warm feeling compared to like Torontonians or, you know, and man, it's just like, it's always a blast heading downtown, and, you know, I got to experience some other places, and, you know, they're probably just as friendly out in like Yarmouth and everything too.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I mean, arguably, maybe even more. They're nosier for sure.
Yeah,
they'll ask you more questions.
Yeah,
like Blitz, who's your mother and father?
Yeah,
are you from here? Why? What? No, they get real nosy, man. But
well, people thought it was from Newfoundland with the accent, but like,
yeah, but that's definitely Manitoba.
Oh yeah, but like, and that's the thing is like, literally, people think there's probably I don't really go through comments on social media because that's, you can go down a rabbit
toxic,
hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I'll sometimes like go through and I'll see like people like, you know, stop with the accent, the fake accent. I'm like,
don't watch my videos.
Yeah. But this is that's why I like podcasts and wanted to come onto the podcast, because like this is me. I try to fake an accent for an hour and a half.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Good luck.
Yeah. And that's very much too, like, same thing. Like, this is me. Like, I'm not sugarcoating it. Like, you know, it's very much an opportunity for people to get to know me, who I'm talking with, and hopefully it ends up, you know, getting some exposure, some awareness for everybody. And, you know, if it doesn't, at the end of the day, we made a cool relationship, and, you know, hopefully something comes of that. And you know, at the end of the day, if it doesn't, we'll get some cool content out there and it works for that. But, Yeah, man, it's cool. It's definitely a cool community. I mean, I'm biased. I've always been from Nova Scotia, but I think if everybody in closing could have like your outlook or your take on social media and using it for the reasons like meeting people, helping people, promoting people, I think social media would be in a better sphere in people's minds than what it is today. And I think if we keep doing what we're doing, maybe we could get it there.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great place to kind of maybe end it off.
I agree, man.
An hour 42.
Oh,
So
doesn't feel like that
let's
long.
get you out of here, get you fed and caffeinated, and get you back around on your day.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for coming on, Blitz. And yeah, hopefully we can do this again sometime, see what you're up to, and maybe later on next year.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Thanks, bro. Thanks so much.